Hey guys, welcome back to the Live Out Love podcast. I'm so excited for today's episode. Today I'm with Addie. Is it Addie Rae?
Addie
Or
Rae.
Okay, Addie Rae. Stop, that's so cute. So Addie Rae and me honestly don't even know each other, which I think is so fun that we get to record a podcast just getting to know each other and y'all can listen to us talking about life and who we are. And she has just amazing journey. She has a ministry called Made for More that she gets to talk about on the podcast and just so much more. So why don't you first maybe tell people listening and me like where you're from, where you go to school, major, all that stuff.
Yes. So, like she said, my name is Addie Rae. I'm from a super small town in the upstate of South Carolina. It's called Woodruff. I like to say it's like a stoplight town. Like we have one stoplight, a million churches.
Mhm.
Super small. Love it there. Like unless the Lord changes my heart drastically, I have no doubt that that's where I'll go back to. And now I'm a student at the University of South Carolina, and my major is education, but kind of in a season of just like trusting the Lord. And trying to figure out like what he really wants to do with my life.
Okay.
I wouldn't say I'm like 100% content with that. I just think that he just continues to like put desires on my heart of,
Mhm.
what ministry looks like as I have felt that calling on my life. So just trying to figure out what
Yeah,
my future looks like. But yeah.
that's awesome. I started out in Clemson as an education major.
Uh-huh.
And I went into it was like a day in the life of an education major, and I went into it and I hated it. It was like art classes, and I'm like, "No." So I switched
Yeah.
my major 3 more times, and
Uh-huh.
now I don't know if USC has this, but I'm a Parks, Rec, and Tourism major. I don't know if
Oh,
they
yeah.
have that.
Like
It's
that.
so fun. I love
Really.
it. Yeah, my
That's
concentration is more, like, on the event side, so
yeah.
feel like I just love going to my classes now. So, if you have to switch your major 3 times, 1 time, like, he always knows, which is funny, and people laugh
Yes.
at me for always switching. I literally was so bad at math, like, business calc, not my friend, so I, like, dropped out of business calc last year, I couldn't do it. Yeah.
That's so awesome.
Yeah, okay, so is Woodruff near Greenville or no?
Greenville is like 30 minutes from Woodruff. Woodruff is in
Okay,
Spartanburg County, which is beside
okay,
Greenville.
gotcha.
Yes.
Okay, so I live in Travelers Rest.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
But I moved here from Maine my senior year, so
Uh-huh.
I'm still, like, getting used to everything around, and
Yeah.
so I never even knew I just knew Woodruff Road, not, like, Woodruff the town.
Yes. Whenever I come from Woodruff, they're like, "Oh, yeah, the road with all the stores on it." I'm like, "No, no, 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 not even close."
That's funny. I like how
Yeah.
you said it was, like, a stoplight street or stoplight town. Yeah,
Stoplight town. One
that's
stoplight,
cute.
churches. It's small, but I love it.
That's awesome. And then what made you decide, like, did you ever wanna go to Clemson, or was it USC all the way?
Oh, that is like a huge part of I guess like my story, my testimony, but I did not decide where I was going to go to college until May 1st. So like
Wow.
very end of my senior year and yeah, like I can share more about that in a minute, but I just
Yeah.
like had no idea and I considered Clemson, but I got bridged and I kind of
Okay.
just took that as like my like trying to figure out with like all these options that I had, I was like, okay, that's just me. Like the Lord's
Right.
telling me that I can like close that door. But yeah, I had like no idea where I wanted to go for the longest time.
Wow, no. That's crazy. I got bridged to USC, which I didn't even know USC had a bridge.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I got into Clemson, so it was funny, it kinda swapped, but,
Yeah.
why don't we just get right into it? I asked Addie just to talk about her testimony and just little things that I'm like, "What can you share to a group of audience listening, but also to me at the same time?" So if you do feel comfortable, I'd love to hear about your testimony and how that does play into college too.
Yes. So I grew up in a Christian home. Like I used to think that I didn't like have a testimony, I guess you could say,
Yeah,
because like, like my parents were believers. Like I was in church anytime the doors were open. Like
right.
from as like far back as I can remember, like I have known Jesus and like I have known who he was. And so yeah, like I guess I wrestled with that for a long time, but now like being more mature in my faith, I look and I'm like, what a testimony, like of the Lord's faithfulness through generations of like my parents knowing because their parents did, because their parents did.
Yeah,
but yeah, so knew Jesus, and I would say like I was always kind of the girl who like tried to do the right thing. Like I really didn't even want to. It wasn't even a thing looking back of like trying to honor the Lord, but more of just like I wanted to do what was right.
Right.
But 10th grade of high school, my grandmother passed away. She was like my best friend. Like I feel like she knew me more than anyone. So losing her was like the first hard thing I ever went through. And I definitely like I look back on that season of my life and it's one of those where like you just don't even want to look at it. Like I
Mhm.
just did some things that like I don't know, like just weren't glorifying of the Lord. And I don't think I know. Like I was just seeking out attention and like just like coping and trying to fill this void with all the wrong things. But a big thing, like I'll probably say this a million times sharing my story, like the Lord just never stopped chasing me and just like pursuing my heart and just redeeming like small
Mhm.
things that were going on in my life. So that happened. And of course, like I'm still super involved in church. Like you really would have never known from the outside that I was like fighting such a battle like within myself. But the summer before my senior year, I went on a mission trip to New Orleans and I just felt like the strongest, I don't know, like the Lord had a grip on my heart and like I could just tell something wasn't right. Like something had to be done. Like he was calling on me for something.
Mhm.
I remember thinking like, I know without a doubt where I'm spending eternity. Like I'm going to heaven. I'm saved. Like what could he be trying to tell me? And I was sitting with four, they were my best friends then, like they were running the race with me, and they still are four of the most like special people in my life. But I was sitting with Haley West, who goes to
Mhm.
Clemson with you, and Jake and Ty. And I was telling them, and they were like, have you considered like maybe the Lord's calling you to ministry? Like that's
Mhm.
what this sounds like. And I was just in complete denial. I was like, what could the Lord do with a girl in ministry? Like, I just don't know like how he could use me. Um, so kind of went on with that like that feeling, but didn't really tell anyone about it. Like didn't do much about it. And then senior year, like I said, like had no idea where I was going to go to school.
Mhm.
Had a lot of options. And it came down to May, and I was between North Greenville and University of South Carolina. So NGU looked like this perfect, like I was gonna major in ministry. It just seemed right. Like everything was like, okay,
Right.
like that's
Yeah.
and make this calling clear on my life. And then I just didn't know with USC, I was like, there's just no telling like what he'll do. Um, and it was the night before May 1st, and I had my NGU shirt on my bed and my USC shirt on my bed. And
Mhm.
I was doing photos with my friends from home at the football field at our high school. So like
Mhm.
I remember my dad coming in my room and he was like, you have to pick like by the morning. Like you have to pick what t-shirt you're gonna wear in these photos, and like we have to pay like your deposits. And I like went to bed that night and I was just like weeping, like talking to the Lord, like, help me, like I don't know what to do. And the next morning, I just made the decision on a whim. Like people ask me how I chose, and I really don't know. Like I just picked USC and chose that. And like instantly, honestly regretted my decision. I was
Mhm.
like all summer, I guess like the enemy just had a grip like on my heart, and he was just convincing me like Jesus couldn't use me here. And
Mhm.
I was like, he was convincing me that like I was running away from a calling that the Lord had put on
Mhm.
my life, I
Mhm.
guess.
Mhm.
And it was just like, I mean, all summer I was like, Addie, like you turned your back on Jesus. Like you could have gone to NGU and like majored in ministry, and like this whole plan that you've always wanted for your life, like it could have worked out. And now like, it sounds so silly to say, but I was like, now like you're gonna have this job that like you're not gonna be able to do ministry, and like
Yeah.
you're never gonna find a husband who can like lead you faithfully like the Lord wants. Like all these
Right.
lies, like my life was just saturated in them that summer. And then July of that summer, one of my best friends actually passed away in a car accident. A drunk driver hit her and her family, and her mom passed away. So that was just another thing of like,
Mhm.
hey, like I just remember thinking, like, Lord, if you couldn't have made it any more clear that like I'm running away from you, then like here we go again. Like you are just
Yeah.
I'm hit after hit. And that could not have been any more true. Like looking back, like I went on a mission trip literally the day after her funeral. I left to go to Montana, and I just saw the Lord again, like redeem this thing that had happened in my life in honestly the smallest way. So that happened, went to college, and if there's like a dictionary definition of down bad freshman year, that was me. Like I could not find friends. I was still thinking like I'm supposed to be at North Greenville, like
Yeah.
no purpose here. Literally fought with that all that year. Like I remember in April of last year being with Ollie in the car. We were on the way to Knoxville, Tennessee, and I cried the whole way there. And I was like, my parents had bought a house for me to live in here, and I told her I was like, Ollie, like I have to leave. Like I have to tell my parents I have to sell the house. Like I hate it there. And then last summer, I was on a mission trip in Nicaragua, kind of just sharing this like with my missions pastor.
Yeah.
And he shut me up really quickly. And he was like, Addie, like you have to let Jesus use you. Like you are being so selfish with your time. Like you think that this plan that you've written for your life is like this perfect, and it's not. He was like, just let the Lord use you. So I was really angry and went back in my room on the mission trip. And I literally remember sitting there. I was like, God, I'm giving you a week. Like, make it clear within a week, or I'm going to have the hard conversation with my mom and dad and tell them, like, I'm leaving. And the day after that, a girl from Columbia called me and offered me a job at a church here. And it was girls' ministry, which made so much sense because, like, I'd been doing ministry all summer with Made for More. And I just remember thinking, like, the second that I surrendered my plan, it was just like, Jesus, like, and I should have never given him a timeline, but I did. And he, it wasn't even a day, like, and I got that phone call. But yeah, it was just such a sweet reminder that, like, when you surrender and you give him, your blank page and your yes is on the table, like, he can do so much more than you could ever imagine. So
That's
yeah,
awesome. As you said that, I'm literally pulling this down. So do you know who Eden Benton is? She came on the podcast.
yes,
She
love her.
wrote this, and I wrote it too because it literally says, handing you a blank, Lord, and like you sign your name at the end. And she like said to do that when she came on the podcast, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna do that. So it was really cool that you said like you just, letting him write your story, and that's awesome. That I have like kind of a really similar testimony, which is really awesome that you said that. It's not, I don't know. When I say testimony, sometimes I feel like there's just different stories in your life that you're like, okay, actually the Lord's teaching me something that's like a testament of like his teaching. But this summer I went to a ministry school for like a week, and it was like a worship school because I sing and all that, and so I loved it. It was amazing. They had like a school, like a full-time ministry school for like it was like a 3-year program, like you go during like school time. And I remember coming home from that just being like, maybe I should go, My parents ended up going to the ministry school when I was younger, but they went to this, so like they've all experienced this, and I was like, maybe like Clemson isn't for me, like maybe I should go. Like this was literally going into sophomore year. So I applied to the school. I had an interview because you have to like interview and like talk about who you are. And I had the interview. The lady told me I was accepted, and she was like, is there anything holding you back? Like, I just feel like there's something you just are not telling me. And I was like freaking out because I'm like, how does she know this? Like, it was literally a Zoom call. Like she doesn't know me, and she just is like, I feel like you're just not telling me something. And I didn't tell her I was gonna be a sophomore at Clemson. I was like, well, I'm not gonna lie to you. I really want to go to Clemson, but at the same time, like, is that my worldly view of like what I want to do? Like the worldly view of it. Like, do I just want to be in a sorority? Do I want to like go back in a cute little college town and live in my own apartment, And or do I actually listen to the Lord and what his plan is for me to go to this ministry school? And kind of like you said, like the husband there, like you're gonna find like good Christian community, like all that stuff. And she looked at me and she was like, sometimes the Lord has two different decisions for you, and sometimes he chooses where you're supposed to go and you're supposed to listen to him, but other times he's gonna bless you in the decision that you choose. And so I think that was really cool, as you said, like you chose USC, and like he's blessing you, and like you're like listening to his calling on your life, even when it was so hard, like you didn't know what to choose. And I looked at her and I was like, you're right. And so I chose Clemson again. Like I ended up going back to Clemson, and I was like, like I can go to this ministry school whenever. Like I could go when I'm
Mhm.
graduated, when I'm like 50 years old.
Yeah.
But I just really felt like I was supposed to be here.
Mhm.
And it's really cool to see that. Like if I didn't
Mhm.
come back this year, I'm chaplain now of AD Pi. So like I wouldn't have been chaplain of AD Pi.
That's
I have a
awesome.
boyfriend now, so like I probably wouldn't have dated him. Like, if I was all the
Yeah.
way, it was like a ministry school in California. So I was like would all the way be out there. So
Yeah.
it was just really cool to like hear that, like that you saying that. And then also when Eden Benton came on, she was talking about that. Like sometimes we just gotta like let everything go, surrender it
Yes.
all to him, he's gonna write your blank page. And
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but are you a person that likes change at all? Like,
It
are you a fan?
honestly it, like, depends, like, sometimes in, like, certain areas of my life, I, like, crave it, but,
Yeah,
with, like, I guess, like, my future and something that seems so
right.
detrimental, like, I would love to have a plan and, like,
Yeah,
know what's gonna happen, so
yeah.
a lot of things like that causes a lot of stress and,
Right.
you know, like
No,
that.
I'm the exact same way. I, like, will be so spontaneous on the most random things, but,
Mhm.
like, when it's, like, even just, like, the day in my life is, like, one little plan is messed up and it ruins it, it's just like,
Yeah.
"What?" You know?
Yeah.
And I've been so working on that just because,
Yeah.
like, we have this whole plan, like, in the Bible, it says, like, "We make the plan, he orders our steps," and, like, I feel like
Yes.
it's just so cool to, like, see how, like, now you're working for this church still?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah. So you just got
different.
the job. Okay, gotcha,
Yes.
yeah. So, like, see, like, all of it just kinda, like, fell into place just because
Right.
you, like, surrendered to him and you stopped, like, being like, "No, Lord," like, like, thinking that you were
Yes.
running away from your calling, which is really cool.
Yeah.
So tell me about what you do with the ministry there,
So I
or
am the
with
girl
your church, sorry.
Yes, I'm the girls ministry intern, so it just looks honestly different every day, and that's kinda my favorite thing
Mhm,
about it, but, just a lot of, like I've learned so much about, like, the intentionality behind outreach and just, like,
mhm,
reaching out to girls, like, I feel like a lot of times, like, from the outside looking in, it looks like even last year, like, I'm doing what so many people were doing to me, but just, like, DMing me, like, asking me to coffee, like,
yeah,
all these kind of things, and I'm just saying now, like, it's so much more than, "Oh, like, here's this girl's Instagram, I'm gonna message her," but, like, these are names that, like, I'm praying over, like, every morning, every night, like, when I'm at
that's
work, just
awesome.
like, "Lord, just would you, like, invite them, like, you invite them, not just me in a message," so a lot of that, I've done a lot of, like, planning, girls ministry, just events, like, the
Yeah,
church that I'm a part of in the college ministry, they're like, whenever she called me, she was like, "We feel like the Lord wants us to, like, really focus on the girls, like, of our ministry," and she had been watching, like, what was happening with Made for More, so she was just like, "If that's something you'd be interested in and, like, partnering with us in,"
yeah.
so a lot of that, and then, yeah,
Is
just
it
anything.
for college or younger?
It's for college, so
Okay. Wow, that's
girls.
awesome.
Yeah, I love it.
That's so cool. So, have you made, like, lots of just, like, friends and community by doing that too?
Yes, last year, I was like I said, like, the definition of down bad, like,
Mhm.
just really, like, couldn't find friends, and I was almost being I hate to say I was being picky, but almost like that, like, I knew the kinda community that I had at home, and, like, I knew that the Lord had that for me here, and I didn't want to, just, like, let go of what I knew, like, true, fruitful friendship looked like just to look
Mhm.
like I had friends.
Right.
Um, so, yeah, like, last year, I was really patient with the Lord, but just, like, I met one girl that, like, she will be in my wedding one day, but other than that, it was just,
Oh,
like, like, I knew that at the right time, like, the Lord would bring them into my life, but, yeah, I've met some awesome people, working there, just finally
that's
found that sense of, like, gospel community here.
yeah. Yeah, and how's, like, school-wise been for, like, this year?
Yeah, it's been good. Um, I guess it was stressful trying to figure out, if I wanna continue in education or, like, what I'm gonna change my major to,
Right.
like, what that looks like, but I love it, and I think it's so cool, like, I'm not really I hate to say I'm not, like, a school girl, but, like, school is not my favorite thing in the world, like,
Me neither.
I prioritize, like, my social life a lot and, like, church and doing
Yes.
things, like, made for more over my schoolwork, or I sometimes have a tendency to, but it's been so cool to see the Lord, like, bless just, like, actually working hard, like, to do the best that I can, and just like committing that to the Lord. So yeah, I love it.
Yeah. No, yeah, that's so good. Now, tell me more just about Made for More. One, how you started it. Like this summer, I saw it did grow, and then now you're
Yes.
kind of rebranding. So, like, what's your new ideas with it?
Yeah. So it started, I don't know, have you ever heard of For the Girl, that ministry?
No. Wait,
Okay.
now
So
I'm gonna look it up.
yeah. So, well, I don't know. Do y'all have Delight at Clemson? The like,
Yes.
okay. So they're the ones that started that.
For the
And
girl.
yeah. And I mean, they're so incredible. Like when
Okay.
I say that, I would like, they've just set a really good example of like what it looks like to, like lead girls in, I don't know, just also reminding like you can love the Lord and still like in have fun and all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. So they have, like every summer have girls that I guess kind of come on and like partner with them and lead Bible studies. So
Mhm.
honestly just like signed up to do that. I was like, I feel this calling to ministry all my life. Like,
Mhm.
don't really know what that looks like for me. But again, like here's my blank sheet, Lord, like I'm surrendering
Yeah.
what I think that looks like. And kind of just came across the fact that they were doing it because I had signed up to do it the summer before, and then all that happened with college and just a lot of
Right.
stuff going on with my friend passing away. And it worked out where I did not do it that summer, but wanted to do it again. So I planned to, but I honestly just thought like it'll be 8 girls in my living room, like, not that that's a bad thing at all. Like that's incredible, but I was not expecting like what Jesus was going to do with a simple
Mhm.
yes that I gave him, but told my closest friends about it. And then I was like, I'm just gonna make an Instagram to just document like what we do, just share it with people. So planned to do that, made the Instagram, and people started following it.
Yeah.
And then made a
I
group
don't
me
even
because
know how I just wanna know how I started following it.
yeah, I wondered that too. And I wondered
But
how I
I
started
loved it, and I was
your
gonna go one time, and then it literally started, like, storming or something, and I was like, "Oh, I don't wanna
Yes.
go."
I
Yeah.
know exactly. It started storming the first night that we did it. And
Yes.
I was thinking like, oh my goodness, what am I gonna do? But again, the Lord
Mhm.
just worked that out. But so yeah, like just thought it'd be 8 girls in my living room and made a group me because it got up to be like 20. And I was like, okay, a group chat with 20 girls might be a little much. So made the group me.
Wow.
I like went to bed one night and I want to say there was like 20 girls in it. And I didn't check it for like a week because I was like planning all this in like March, April. And
Yeah.
I was like, I'll worry about it more whenever May rolls around. And I looked at it like a week or two later and there were like 50 girls in it. And I was like, oh my gosh. Like I honestly thought, what have I gotten myself into? Like, as one person, I'm not saying it's impossible, but it would be really hard to like spiritually lead that many girls alone.
Right.
And I just knew instantly, I was like, all right, Jesus, like you've equipped me. Like I
Mhm.
know I can do it, but I need people. Like I need you to send me an army of people who can help
Mhm.
me. And never wanted it to be like, yeah, like here's my 8 best friends. Like they're going to be the ones that help. Like genuinely wanted it to be like handpicked people from the Lord. So started praying about that and got my 8 girls that were going to help me. And it was very evident very quickly, like they were handpicked from Jesus, just like each of their gifts and how it helped
Mhm.
me over the summer. But yeah, so we did the Bible study all summer, and I want to say at our final night we had like 60 girls. It was just
Wow.
incredible, like what the Lord did.
That's
And
awesome.
yeah, and I never thought like I was like, okay, like August 11th, final night, like that'll be the last time, whatever. And that night, I remember getting up in front of them and I was just like, there's no way that like this can't keep going. Like the Lord just did. One of my favorite verses in Ephesians is where it says like he can do exceedingly and abundantly more than we
Mhm.
can ever ask, think, imagine. And I told them that I was like, if you would have asked me 5 months ago, like what this was going to be, I would have been just like jaw on the floor, like at what
Mhm.
was happening now. So yeah, that like it was a Bible study and we met again for like a Thanksgiving breakfast, just kind of casted vision of like, hey, like I'm giving y'all the go, like we're gonna do this again next summer.
Mhm.
The more I thought about it, I was just like, the Lord just I just could feel him like urging me, like, you know, the name of it's made for more, and my intention behind that was that like girls would know they were made for more than like what the world, says
Right.
it is. That be, boys, boyfriend, your
Mhm.
body, how many Instagram followers you have, like I just don't think we'll ever fully understand, like what the Lord's created us
Yeah.
for
Is
in
there
full.
a verse that goes off of that? Sorry, cutting you off, but one of my friends said there was some she said it was, like, John something. I went to go look it up, and it's, like, not there, and I'm like, "Maybe she was wrong about it." So I didn't know if you, like, have a verse
We
that
did
goes
have
off.
a verse, and let me read it to you. It's a little
Okay.
long. But honestly, like as the summer went on,
Mhm.
I kind of picked the verse like just kind of quickly, like making all the stuff. And then obviously now, like with rebrand, I love that you say that because I told someone that too. I was like, I feel like I'm rebranding.
You are rebrand.
um, like I just think now, like we're gonna do the Bible study again in the summertime, but just like feeling Jesus tell me, like, Addie, this could be so much more than like you think it could be. Like, let me do
Yeah.
more with it. Um, so yeah, like I don't even know honestly what that looks like because all of this like rebranding stuff is pretty fresh. But I'm so excited to see like what the Lord is gonna do
Mhm.
with that, no matter what that looks
I love
like. So
it. Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, read me the verse or read
Let me
us the verse.
yes. Let me see.
Um,
That's horrible. I don't even remember off the top of my head.
no, you're good. I was just why you were saying that was, so, okay, it's 2 things. So, when I went to this ministry school, this worship, it was like conference. Why I keep calling it ministry school, but it is a ministry school.
Uh-huh.
And in the conference, do you know who Josh Baldwin is?
Yes.
The singer. So he was there and he was, wrote this song before it came out. He, like, sang the song unreleased, and it was called "Made for More," now it's out.
Oh,
So you need to
I
go check it out. It's a
never
really
heard
good song. Yeah, it's really good. And it was just so cool because at the time, I was, like, starting to follow you, and
mhm.
then, like, the Made for More ministry, and then I heard, like, this saying, like, "You are made for more than blah," you know? And I literally was like, at this at this conference, I was like, "I want a tattoo that says, ma I am made or you are made for more," and, like,
Uh-huh.
have it right here, so, like,
Yes.
when people see it, they'd be like, Why are you saying that? Why am I
Yes.
made for more?" You know? And so, I literally had this written I made my friend who I met at the conference, like, write it, like, right here on my arm, and I
Uh-huh.
literally, like, rewrote it for, like, that whole it was, like, 3 weeks I had it on my arm.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, "I'm gonna get this tattoo, but I'm gonna wait to see if I still want it."
Yeah.
But it was just really cool that you, like, started this, and I'm hearing this, like, what does it mean, like, by, like, being made for more and, like, learning so much about it, and it just all came in, like, the same time. Like, it's so funny how it all works, but
Yes. That really is awesome. I think that's such a cool truth for like yeah, like I said, especially
Mhm.
girls, just to grasp the fact that
Yeah,
like the world just like tries to put this label on like what we're made
right.
for, but it's just so much more than like what we could even think about
Mhm.
or like imagine. So that's kind of my
Exactly.
hope with like letting it grow and like obviously like letting it grow like past the Bible study and like kinda just
Mhm.
like pushing content on the Instagram of like encouragement, and whatever that looks like. Yeah, just like reminding girls as much as I can that like the world is just I mean, the enemy just it's just so easy for the enemy to get a grip on a girl when it comes to like what the
Right.
world tries to tell us that we're made of. But yeah,
Especially
the verse
nowadays. Oh, s go
oh,
ahead.
go ahead.
No.
Okay, the
I
verse
was
is in
gonna
and it's in chapter 1, and it says, "Having
mhm.
the eyes of your
And
heart and li" Oh, go ahead.
and what? You cut out. What's the verse in?
It's, Ephesians 1, and then it's
Okay.
18 through 19,
Okay.
and it just says, "Having the eyes of your heart enlightened, that you may know what is the hope to which he has called you, what are the riches of his
Mhm.
glorious inheritance in the saints, and what is the immeasurable greatness of his power towards us who believe according to the work of his great might." So,
That's really good. Aw, I love that. That's
yes.
awesome. But I was just kinda saying, like, I feel like even now we're, like there's, like, this fear now installed of us of, like, women
Mhm.
can't be by themselves anywhere now.
Yes.
And it's like, how much is the enemy just gonna keep attacking us, you know?
Yes. I was
But
actually just telling, my boyfriend that the other day I wanted to go run, and it's just so sad that, like, I wanna go out like, I live in a cute little college town, like, why do I feel unsafe to,
yeah,
go out and, like, I can't go run around the block around my house, whatever, and I literally said that, I was like, "How much more can the enemy do to, like, instill fear and just captivate us by that?" But,
right.
yeah.
Yeah. But anyways, I love what you're doing. It's been so inspiring.
Thank
And
you.
so are you gonna start everything back up this summer? I know you're gonna post more stuff, but like the Bible studies are gonna start this summer.
Yes, they are. So
Okay.
we'll do the Bible studies again, and I'm kind of like, just with like some other I'm a huge dreamer. Like when I get an idea
Me too.
and, like just like committing that to the Lord, like that Bible verse says to like commit your work to the Lord. Like
Yeah.
I, when you do that and like he continues like call you to things. So there's obviously like a lot of stuff that I want to do and like that I've been thinking about. And honestly, it's just from like the overflow of like the joy and what the Lord has done in my
Mhm.
life. But I never wanted to become a thing of like it feels like a job or it feels like, work. So this summer I've kind of like given some, I don't know if you saw that on the Instagram, but like given some power and like leadership to some of the girls that helps me,
Yes,
like creating a
I love
team of
that.
people. And I'm super excited about that too, because whether they feel like a calling to full-time ministry on their life or not, like we're all called to ministry, like if we believe in Jesus and like if we're following him, just to bring others to know him. And I think ministry is a lifestyle and like a posture of your heart,
Mm. Mhm.
doing ministry. And yeah, I'm excited to see like the Lord use their gifts and again, like use the yes that they gave him and me. And yeah, just like see what he can do with that. But we will be meeting again this summer.
Yay, I definitely wanna come now
Yes, I want you to. That'd
and
be
meet you in
awesome.
person. I feel
Yes,
like we got to at this point.
yes, for sure.
But no, I was so bummed that I didn't get to go last summer, so this summer, definitely making a priority.
Yes, please
Yeah.
do.
Well, I don't really have anything else. Do you have anything else that you wanna say at all about
No,
yeah.
I'm just honestly encouraged by you, by our
Oh,
conversation, and I
thank
hope that
you.
anyone that listens to this, my thing about anything like this, like, with doing things like with the Bible study and then some other stuff, things I've talked to
Mhm.
you about, and then like other things I've like been quiet about, it's just like,
Right.
you have this fear again as being a girl of like, are people gonna think I'm crazy? Like, are they gonna, I don't know if you thought about this, like with starting a podcast, but like with me
Yeah.
doing the Bible study, like, are people gonna be like, who is she? Who is she that she can do that? Like,
Yeah.
and, like 2 things I feel like I took away from that are, like you are made for more than like what the world thinks you are, and like we are made to be like kingdom builders and like to bring others to know.
Mhm.
If one person listens to this and like comes to know the Lord or just feels like encouraged in their walk with Christ or is reminded that they're made for more, like it's a conversation worth having.
Yeah.
And I'm just so encouraged that you gave the Lord your yes, because this is most
Thank
certainly
you.
like your podcast is a ministry in itself in a way that, girls can be encouraged to.
Thank you. Yes, no, I totally, felt all that stuff when I first started it. I think it's really cool that you said that. My 1 year of it is March 5th, so
Yeah.
next week.
Mhm.
And I was just kinda, like, reflecting on, like, the year, and I just wrote down just a bunch of things of just, like, what happened in the year, and the coolest thing to me is, like, when you, like, if the Lord's telling you to do something, like, now, like, just go, like, step out and do it, and, like, I was
Yes.
just, like, telling someone, like, it's gonna be scary, like, you're
Mhm.
gonna be, like, not maybe confused on, like, why he's calling you, but, like, he doesn't call the equipped, he equips the called, you know?
Yes.
And
Yes.
so and that's just something that I've just been, like, listening to and just that, like, little phrase has just been going through my mind so much because it's, like it's scary, like, I remember, um, last year, I always wanted to start a podcast, but I wanted to do it, like, when I was older maybe, like, I remember telling my dad, like, "I wanna, like, do it later," and he was like, "Well, why don't you just start it now?" And I'm like, "Huh, you're right, like, why not?" And I remember my first episode okay, I will be honest, I, like, deleted the first episode so no one can see it now, which I'm kinda mad, like, I should go back and listen in, but it was, like, on my, like, laptop speaker, it was, like, so fuzzy, all of it, and it's just me was talking about just random things.
Yeah.
And it was just funny, like, to see from, like, that to growing now to just, like you,
Uh-huh.
like, reaching out to me and being like, "Oh my gosh," like, "I'm not even kidding you, I literally have, like, your name in my notes app, like,
Oh.
wanting to, like, you to come on my podcast," and you reached out to me, and I was like, "Oh my gosh," like, "That's so cool."
Yeah.
And stuff like that, I was just, like, seeing his faithfulness in that,
Yes.
um, and to me, I think the biggest part is, I think especially, like, being on a platform, I don't know if you've experienced this, but
Mhm.
sometimes it's really hard like, having the difference between, like, wanting to, like, talk about certain things or, like,
Mhm.
wanting, like, a certain person on it, if you know what I mean,
Yeah.
like, just because they
Yeah.
have, like, a name, like, like,
Yes.
yes, it's great to have someone who has a name come on your podcast or come speak, but, like, don't have it just because they have a name. Have it because what they're teaching or, like,
Yeah.
who they are as a person is someone that you want to, like, inspire other people. So that was
Yes.
something that I was just, like, praying about because, like, I just wanted this podcast to be as real as possible, but, like, have people from all different, like, communities, all different girls, like, in their walk with faith, and that was
Yeah.
really, like, cool to see, like, I just was being really open-minded, and I feel like in the past, like, in high school, I definitely was, like, a crowd follower, just, like, keeping up with the status quo,
Yeah.
and I feel like now, especially, like, starting the podcast, I'm like, "No, like, I want whoever, whatever, like, to be on, like, whoever the Lord is being, okay, like, no, I want this person on," or and it's not like
Yes.
it's not a name game either. I think that was one thing too. I was, like, really timid of, people, like, getting mad at me if they weren't on the podcast,
Yeah.
um, but I think it more but then I'm just so open, like, people listening, if you've been on it, like, I'll be like, "No, like, if you wanna come on, tell me what you wanna talk about, and we can talk about it,"
Yeah.
you know?
Yes.
And so, like, I don't know if that encourages you with anything of, like, your ministry or anything, but that was just really cool seeing all that, just kind of, like, how the Lord worked through all of that. That was, like, a mouthful, but yeah.
I think that one of my favorite verses, I actually shared it on the Made for More Instagram today, is in Revelation, and it says, "And they have conquered him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their
Mhm.
testimony, for they love not their lives even unto death." And yeah, I just think that like there's so much power in sharing our story and yeah, just like coming on and having real, raw, like organic conversation
Right.
that's so fruitful, and the Lord like honors that so much. So
Yes.
yeah.
That's so true. This weekend we had our mom's weekend for 80 pie, and I, like, led a Bible study, so it was, like, maybe there was, like, 75 girls there. It was really cool, but I talked
Yeah.
about the woman at the well. I'm sure you definitely talked about this, but
Yeah.
I never really went fully in depth with the story, and so as I was, like, preparing for it, I just really, like, read, like, all the commentary and, like,
Mhm.
different books about, like, her, and I
Mhm.
just thought it was so cool, like, at the end when she, like, was so bold enough to, like, go out and tell the people about,
Yes.
like, her story, and, like, she wasn't scared anymore, and I
Mhm.
just, like, told the girls that were at the Bible study, like, I just encourage you to, like, be real, be honest, and tell your story, and because that changes other people, like, that, like,
Yes.
changes their perspective on, like, what Christianity is, like, it shows them, like, you're not perfect, like, that's why we have a savior, like, that's why he came down to earth because he's, like, wanting to change you, and so it just was kinda, like, eye-opening to me, like, the whole woman at the well and, like, her story,
Mhm.
so it's just been something I keep reflecting on lately, so it was cool you said that, but
Yeah, I love
yeah.
that.
Yeah, well, I didn't know, do you wanna close us out in prayer before we stop recording at all?
Yes, I will.
Okay, perfect.
All right, let's pray. Dear Lord, thank you for today and just thank you for the gift and yeah, like the ability to sit down, whether that be at a table at dinner over coffee or Lord, if it's on a computer over a recording, God, I'm just so thankful that we can and we're able to just sit and like testify to your goodness and talk about you, Lord. Your faithfulness is written all over just the fact that like you put Olivia on my heart to reach out to her and the fact that Lord now like I'm sitting here on her podcast, something that she uses to just share again, like your goodness and your mercy that's been all over her life and all over the lives of those around her, Lord. Now I get to sit and talk to her about what you've done in mine. And yeah, I just pray that to anyone that's listening to this, God, like that, Lord, if there's something on their heart, Lord, that you just put people in their path to talk to them about it, Lord, they feel willing to reach out to Olivia, to reach out to me. And yeah, like if one person just comes to know Jesus, like I said, or their relationship with Jesus is strengthened, yeah, like this is a conversation worth having. And I just again pray that people listening are encouraged that, yeah, like they should tell their story. You're a good writer. You have the pen, and we are giving you a blank paper, Lord. And yeah, like any story that is written with your hand and your pen is a beautiful one and one worth sharing. So again, I'm just thankful for today and just the ability to just sit and talk about and testify to your goodness. In your name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Well, thank you to everyone listening, and thank you for coming on. We can stop
Yes.
recording, and then we can chit chat too, but yeah. Well,
Okay.
thank you guys, and I'll see you next week.